Hello everybody and welcome to this week's Markets to Watch from Smack the Markets for week commencing the 17th of May. So equity markets ended on a positive note last week, actually recovering quite a bit of ground after the recent sell-off. So one of the big questions of course this week is that going to continue? We're going to see new all-time highs in equity markets, or is this just a retracement back in to take some of the heat out of those recent moves? Are we going to start to see more pressure on those markets? Also, the US dollar is also at a critical level. It's actually pulled down to some significant price points and started to find a bounce there as well. So it could be some good interesting opportunities across a number of different asset classes this week. If we take a look at the Dow first of all, we can see that if we have a look at this on the 4-hour time frame, we can see that the market has actually bounced off some technical levels here, and we saw some very strong buying in these markets in the tail end of last week. And here on the Dow, it's actually taken out pretty much all of the structure levels, and at this moment in time price is sort of sitting above its previous resistance, and this certainly is going to be an area of significant support. Even on the rally back up, the market found resistance here a number of times at around the 34.50 area. Once it did manage to break through, it actually came back and retested it a couple of times before managing to move on. So it'd be fair to say that we've got significant resistance around here and support. If the market does break through this level to the short side, then look for more significant weakness, because that's going to be a very bearish flag. Otherwise, these markets are looking, certainly the Dow I should say, is looking rather more optimistic. It's looking more sort of bullish. If we take a look at the S&Ps, we can see that the S&Ps are not quite looking as strong as the Dow. You can see here on the 4-hour chart, the market has managed to take out a number of levels on its recent rally. It's at the moment here, it's still sitting underneath its last significant structure point around 4,170, and this is on the futures price, by the way, not the cash. So the cash market will be slightly different. If the market can actually get above this level, then again we're sort of breaking into new space. There's less structure up here, and we could certainly see prices move higher a lot more easily from a technical perspective. Taking a look at the NASDAQ, and the NASDAQ is looking a little bit more bearish by comparison to the other two. Taking a look on the daily time frame, you can see that whilst the market has managed to take out significant structure points, it's still within the context of a short trend on these higher time frames. I think if we get a break underneath and see weakness underneath 13,300, then it does open up for a potential move to retest that 13,000 price point down towards these lows, and that doesn't look particularly strong from a bullish technical perspective, and we could see weaker prices. Taking a look at a little bit more detail on the 4-hour time frame, you can see that the market did manage to sort of get above its previous lower high here, although these trend structures are not particularly clean and the geometry isn't particularly sort of nice either. So again, I think we take it here that we've got significant price point around 13,400, and where we go from here to the long side or the short side could really sort of set the tone for a while. Having said that, I do think that these equity markets do look quite strong still, and it does look like we might get a little bit more buying coming back into these before we see any more significant selling. If we have a look at the commodity prices, gold and silver looking quite strong this morning. Both of these markets now managing to move on quite nicely. Last week you can see we've had some strong moves in these markets. Gold around 18,500 level, just breaking into new trading windows to the long side to around sort of 1875, and then up towards sort of 1900. These are sort of having a good run at this moment in time, so always look out for pullbacks and pullbacks into retracement areas. So particularly on gold, we could even see a pullback into around the sort of 1828 area and still be within the context of the long trend. So again, we could see some retracements, but I think the path of least resistance is to the long side, and silver is certainly looking rather similar as well. You can see this, if I just zoom out of this, we can see that silver is now moving nicely within a long trend on the daily time frame, and we're just sort of getting up to this key 28 level. Getting above this 28 level again just opens this market up for a much more significant move up there towards retesting that recent high of 30,000 or the $30 price point. So let's come over to the currency markets. Couple here that are our favorites at the moment are the Great British Pound markets. So the US dollar has weakened off sort of fairly significantly, and we've seen that sort of bounce off those sort of key areas around that sort of $90 price point. The sterling has also been inherently strong, and again this could be a nice market to take advantage of a dollar play. You can see here that cable, if we look at this on the daily time frame, has actually broken out of the 140 level quite nicely last week. We've had the pullback to retest 140, and now this market starts to look rather strong off this 140 area. So looks like we could start to be seeing some stronger prices here in cable. The trend structures are starting to turn around, and again it's looking like we've got some good strengths and weaknesses supporting these markets higher. Similar is Great British Pound against the yen. Again, it's another market, one of our favorites for a while. We've seen some nice strong moves in this recently. We've had this sort of sideways consolidation. The market's now broken out of this above 151 last week. Again, we could be looking for some retracements in the short term, but the upward trend looks rather strong here. Again, even if we come down to the 4-hour time frame, you can start to see that the market has got some previous resistance areas that could be acting as potential support in near-term technical structures. So, like in these markets to the long side, we like the Great British Pound strong, and again, there's a number of markets now starting to correlate with that US dollar as well, which could be quite interesting. So there's a couple of markets there to keep an eye on as we're going into the beginning of this week. I certainly hope it helps, and look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye for now.